Sardis Road northbound between Sand Hill Road and Pond Road. Sweeten Creek Road southbound approaching Mills Gap Road. Light delays. Hendersonville Road southbound. Heavy delays between Butler Bridge Road and I-26.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Are you a safe driver? Are you looking to save money? With DriveWise from Allstate, the safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
Hi, I'm Chad Greenway. After retiring from the NFL, I've embraced my new role coaching my kids in their youth sports. Our Youth Basketball Association made the decision to use trusted coaches to train, screen, and educate all of our basketball coaches. Visit trustedcoaches.org to learn more. I'm a trusted coach. Are you?
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart radio station.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
Welcome back into the Sportsocracy here in the Ingalls studio. Ingalls Supermarkets, low prices, love the savings. I'm Tank Spencer. He's at ESPN Draft Nerd, Jeremy Greene.
And that was fun.
You're really sharpening your stick for this week, aren't you?
I'm so tired. And
it's like squeezing blood from the stone.
Well, I just got nothing left. I mean, I've just got nothing left. By the end of this week, you'll be glad that you're not going to see me for a week. I may not be speaking English by the end of this.
Talking about the NFL draft, he has painstakingly gone through all of the mock draft, all 263 picks, your 7-round final mock draft.
And
you
it's
put
pretty
the final
good.
touches on it?
It's pretty good. I mean, I got to go back and make sure that the stupid New England, let's trade a 5th rounder for a 6th and a 7th. That'll be fun. Dickholes.
Bill Belichick
just did that to piss me off.
Yeah, Bill Belichick, as always, giving you headaches.
Our first one of these, and as always, we appreciate super chats, but we appreciate regular questions as well.
I'm your huckleberry.
Max Cole asked, where will Jahan Dotson get drafted? I'm going to be honest, he's one of the hardest players in this draft to peg, and it's solely because he's had the same issue that a few other players in this draft have had, that they just lost all their momentum. He didn't run crazy fast. He did exactly what we thought he would do, and it just seems to be pushing him down. You've had Christian Watson go up. Sky Moore's come up. George Pickens has come up, and so it's pushed him down. I have him in the middle of the 2nd round. He's a slot guy. So the guys that can play the X or play the Y are going to get bumped up because there's so few of them.
All right, we got a question from Glenn.
I'm your huckleberry.
Says, with the deep talent, would love the Commanders to trade out of the 1st round. Any chance that happens?
I'm going to say no.
I don't think so.
It's just going to be really hard. Teams that want to trade down, you're going to have to take 85 cents on the dollar. And to trade all the way out of the 1st round, that's going up a long way. There's just not a player there. Kyle Hamilton, that's who I've had mocked to Washington for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, Vegas is even telling you the over-under on Kyle Hamilton's draft spots, 11.5. Under is Washington.
Right.
Over is anybody else. And there is a possibility that he doesn't go to Washington. Washington likes Chris Olave better than people think. It won't shock me if 8, 9, 10, 11 goes Jameson Williams at 8 to Kansas City.
Trading up with Atlanta.
Yes. I did that backwards. 8 to Green Bay with Jameson Williams.
Okay.
9, Garrett Wilson to Kansas City. Drake London at 10 to the Jets, and Chris Olave at 11 to Washington. Sorry, I had to think about that for a minute.
Yeah, so just a straight wide receiver run.
Just a run, because there's a difference. And Houston is a team that's looking to trade down. They want Treylon Burks, but they will take him at 13 if they have to.
Okay, Alex Majabi, he did not hear you talk about the 17th pick being traded on the ESPN show since we lost the feed there.
Yeah, so the Chargers were very interested in trading up. It was all for Charles Cross, and now they have heard the same thing that I have, that Charles Cross could very easily go 5 to the Giants. I think they like Trevor Penning, but not as much as they like Charles Cross. Not enough to trade up for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Baltimore's the drop-dead spot for about 17 guys, so there may be some, I'm going to make you prove it. All right, you're the drop-dead spot for Jordan Davis. You're the drop-dead spot for Trevor Penning. I'm going to make you prove it. So I'll take my chances. And the Chargers would like, I think, to trade down. If none of those guys were there, I'm just not sure the opportunity is going to present itself.
All right, so you already said Green Bay and Kansas City are potentials to trade up into the top 10.
I don't see how they don't. They're not going to sit there at 22 and 29 and get the guy they want.
Matthew McTaggart is asking who else could trade up into the top 10, if anybody.
Philadelphia, if they're as in love with Jordan Davis as everybody makes it sound, because there is a possibility. I mean, and look, I think this is fluff. Before I go any further, I think this is smoke, but they might fall for it. Seattle is apparently very interested in Jordan Davis. So if there is drunken love with him as they have been said to be, they might trade up to 8 with Atlanta. That's a total spitball. I don't see anybody coming up with the ammo to beat Kansas City or Green Bay, and I know the calls have been made. What I think happens is that everybody Atlanta wanted is gone. And so they go, yeah, we'll take 22, 28, and late-round swaps, and we're good. Go get the receiver you want. We trade down and get multiple assets. They want Jermaine Johnson, but I'm just not sure he's going to be there.
And you don't think either of those teams, Kansas City or Green Bay, would just try to jump if Carolina called with the 6th pick to say, why would I have to? Come take it.
Why would I have to?
Well, if you're afraid that Atlanta won't do it.
Do you know what the difference between those two picks is?
What?
It's basically a second-round pick. I'm not giving up an extra second-round pick when there is no threat to me.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'm trading up with Atlanta is because I'm scared of the Jets. The Jets are in the catbird seat of this draft, and I'm not saying that because I'm a fan. I'm saying it because they have more guys that they are in love with than any team, and they can screw you. The Jets could do anything from trading up to standing still to trading back, and none of it would shock me.
Alex wants to know, when will safeties be valued the same due to their versatility in the run in the box and as a nickel and a dime stand-in?
Depends on who you're asking about. If you're asking why has Daxton Hill fallen, which is why I think that question's being asked, Kyle Hamilton fell because he ran a 4.7. Like, there are just certain teams that don't look at safety as a big need. They don't care about the talent. They think the Florida State tape was an aberration on an underthrown ball. And, then the injuries and things like that. Now, if you're asking about Daxton Hill, he interviewed horrendously at the Combine. Jalen Petrie has passed him. If Kansas City stays still, they will go Christian Watson, Jalen Petrie at 29 and 30.
The way I interpreted that was the safety value. You've said this time and time again, that safety is not a premier position.
And it's never going to be.
But I think that's what the point is with the ability to play more in the box in that linebacker role. And you can drop them back in coverage.
Linebacker's not a premier position either.
True.
So, I mean, it's just not going to happen. The league's getting smaller. It's getting faster. So you're seeing these guys. Like, I'll give you a good example. Tariq Carpenter. All right, he's a safety linebacker hybrid player from Georgia Tech. When I first started doing this, he was undraftable. He would have been a special teams ace, but he would have had no position. Now there are teams that are talking about taking him in the 5th round.
Tyler Cunningham wants to know, do you think that the Jets in Houston have more interest in Garrett Wilson or Drake London?
Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's past Drake London to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
To me, there's 3. And Treylon Burks is a very close 4. I mean, like right up their ass with pickles. I mean, he's just fractionally off.
I heard a draft guy today say that Garrett Wilson has the higher floor, but of all the receivers in this draft, Chris Olave is the one that has the most impact immediately. Do you agree or disagree?
I disagree vehemently.
Why?
Jameson Williams probably has the most impact immediately because he's so damn fast. And he's a deep threat, and it may not show in the numbers. It would show in the offense because your always going to have to know that he can just drag you vertically.
Yep.
I think they're all impact guys immediately. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's been a lot of talk of, well, there's no Jamar Chase in this draft. Yeah, there hadn't been one since Randy fucking Moss. So it was surprise, there's not one 2 years in a row.
Right.
You know, but there are a lot of really good receivers. There's just a drop-off after Olave. Olave's 5 to me, and then there is a drastic drop-off from there.
Hosey would love to know your thoughts on the cornerback out of Mississippi State, Martin Emerson.
Love him. It's New England, Tampa Bay, zone-specific teams. I don't want to see him line up in he can play some press man. I don't love him lining up in a very man-heavy defense, which I think is going to push him down. And I'll be honest with you, I think the same thing about Kyler Gordon, the corner out of Washington. I think his scheme fit is going to move him down. Mm-hmm. Andrew Booth seems to be getting a little bit of recovery, just a little recovery here at the last second to pass Kyler Gordon, which probably push him. I think Kyler Gordon's drop dead is probably the Jets at 38 with the 4th pick that they have.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of love saying that. And Martin Emerson, I think he goes somewhere mid to late 3rd round. I have him higher than that, but the industry seems to – he's very team-specific.
That's why I raised an eyebrow, because you've got him at 65 on your big board.
I do, and I like him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a read-and-react zone corner. So teams that are really heavy in man, they're not going to – I mean, for him, he's probably in the 200s to them.
Yeah.
But now if you're a zone-based team, then there's a lot of value to him.
If you missed it at the end of the ESPN Asheville show, we were talking about the time. I think it was only 2 or 3 times last year during our draft coverage, which we will be doing all live draft coverage for all 263 picks of this year's draft, where somebody chose a guy that Jeremy had not heard of, and it's weird because he looks into everybody. I thought he looks at everybody.
There were 2 that I had literally never heard of.
Right. So the question from Eric Miller is, has there ever been a guy taken in the draft that you didn't know that actually ended up being anything?
No, and usually what happens, and you got to understand, so this is one of those things that people like me and Matt Miller and guys that do 7-round mock drafts, if you notice, you'll never see Kuiper do one of these because it's for the diehard. Mm-hmm. He panders to the lay fan. People like us are after guys like you that you want to know about the undrafted free agents and the priority guys. When you get into the 6th round, the variance in this is one of the things that when I got into doing this for a living, I was dumbstruck by how different boards are. I always thought that you're 1 to 300, you're going to be in the same ballpark. You're not even close. Mm-hmm. And when you get past 200, there could be, and I'm going to use the 2 teams I see in the comments right here, Washington and Buffalo. They're 201 to 300. They may have 90 different guys in that ranking because they're very scheme specific. Bring them in. I want to make sure I get them. They may not make the roster, but I want to be the team that drafted them. I want to be the team that they have a little warm and fuzzy about, that if we do cut them, they'll come back and play on the practice squad, and hopefully we can develop them.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here.
But that does happen from time to time that I just go, ooh.
Guy wants to know, why aren't people mocking safety to the New Orleans Saints like Daxton Hill or Jalen Petrie?
I am in the 2nd round. The first 2 picks, I'm so dead fucking confident of who they are. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, there's no way it's not going to be Chris Olave or Drake London if he's the one that falls. Basically, whatever receiver falls to 16 of the top 5. Could be Drake London, could be Olave.
And then Tyler Smith. I'm so dead set on that it's mind-numbing. Mm-hmm. Now, their 2nd-round pick, once I saw Jaquan Brisker and went, no Malcolm Jenkins, Jaquan Brisker can come in and play right away, and you've got Marcus. Yep, let's do that. The New Orleans Saints got less time attention than any team because every time I'd come up to the pick, I'd go, yep, that was easy. I didn't even have to think about it. This guy fits perfectly. Day Saints number 1 wants to know if you could see them taking a defensive lineman with one of those picks in the first round.
No, they're dead in the wool on a tackle. Now there's some smoke that it's Trevor Penning. I don't buy it. Mm-hmm. I also don't think he'll be there. Baltimore has been his drop dead for as long as I can remember. I mean, back to the first mock I did, they were drunk in love on Trevor Penning. He wasn't getting by him. Mm-hmm. So I do think it's Tyler Smith. They moved up with an intent in mind, and it's because they looked at the receivers and went, this is how this is going to go. So we can take – because Philadelphia's in love with Jordan Davis. So, I mean, if he's there at 15, that's who they're taking. No receiver. And New Orleans made that deal with a team that's picking right in front of them, feeling comfortable enough that they weren't going to take who they wanted. So that tells me receivers out for Philly at 15, and most likely it would go Olave, London, and then Tyler Smith.
Rob Johnson wants to know about his Commanders. If at 47 and he's still there, will they take Jahan Dotson?
It's possible. The problem is I don't know how you would ever play him and Curtis Samuel together. I would say it's more likely that they take more of a flyer because you got to remember they do still have De'Ami Brown, who they do like. I would say then it would be more likely for Washington that you go something in the range of, let's say, Olave 11, Olave, Kyle Hamilton, somebody of that nature. Mm-hmm. Then you take – it could be such a range of guys at 47. And then you take somebody like Isaiah Weston at 113, who's just a height, weight, speed monster. He's going to go higher than you think. I won't be shocked if he's not on the board at 113. He's just the first one I thought of that can play on the outside. Any player that can play the X or the Y is going to get pushed up in this draft because there's so few of them. So many of these guys project to be immediate contributors in the slot. Well, the problem is that you've only got so many positions for that. It's one of the things that's pushing Sky Moore down.
Yeah. What would you say is the best predictive metric for a player? Hosey wants to know, is there one that you value above all else?
I don't mean this response to be as glib as it's going to sound. The eyeball test means way more than RAS or next gen or any of the thing about the statistical, especially analytical height, weight, speed things, they will screw you more than they will help you because it's Trayvon Walker. All right. I watch the tape on him and I go, okay, yeah, he's a first round pick. This is the guy that's a first round pick. And Jacksonville's fallen in love with the fact that, he ran fast and he can play multiple positions. And I've seen too many players like this. You're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. Mm-hmm. So to me, good old-fashioned watching the tape is still – that's paramount. And what's funny is that there are a lot of people that do this, and I'm not going to say it's, people that do it for a living. They're hobbyists. I always know when you worry too much about RAS has become the trendy one over the last couple of years. If you're too worried about that, you're going too analytical. And there will never come a day that people like me are not asked, hey, what do you think about this guy from watching it? There's really there's no dead-in-the-wool metric like that. Now, there are specific things. Like quarterbacks, I want quarterbacks to have played X number of snaps. I like them to have X number of wins. Completion percentage over 60%. Running backs, I want them to have between 500 and 1,000 carries. I don't want them to have more than 1,000 carries because it's basically taking a year off your career. And every 300 from there is another year. So, now I'm looking at a guy that I may only have till he's 28 years old. But there are things like that. And we'll get into that on draft night. There will be guys that get pushed down, some that are just older. Older bothers me more than it bothers a lot of people.
Majabi wants to know, where do you rank Chris Olave?
Overall?
On your big board, he's 26th.
That's I thought he was somewhere in there.
So
he's the last first-round grade to me.
He's the last wide receiver first-round grade.
He's the last first-round grade, period.
Oh, okay.
He's my last. I've got 26 first-rounders.
Oh, okay.
Olave's my last one. I just think there's a jump from Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, Drake London, then there's a drop-off to Treylon Burks, and then there's a drop-off to Chris Olave. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I don't think he can be a good impact player in the league. I don't think he's ever going to be a 1. And if he's a 1, I think he's a 1 on a bad team. I look at him kind of like and I'm not doing a comp here. I'm not saying these two players are the same. The way T.Y. Hilton was. T.Y. Hilton can be a number 1 – or in his prime, could be a number 1 wide receiver. Mm-hmm. at the end of the day, he's not got really any of the metrics to be the matchup disaster that I want a 1 to be. Drake London, to me, can be a matchup disaster.
Jason wants to know, where do you see Devin Lloyd going?
New England, 21. I don't see how Bill's not going to – Devin Lloyd's one of the best pass-rushing linebackers I've ever seen. And I don't see how Bill's going to pass that up. He's such a toy. I mean, I liked him with Philadelphia, but Philadelphia doesn't take linebackers in the first round, and they've basically made it clear that they're not taking a first-round linebacker. I think they will go Jordan Davis and a corner. I'm hoping they surprise me and take Devin Lloyd, but I wouldn't look for it. And Nakobe Dean, to me, has slid very early in the second round. I've got him going, I think, to Detroit. And then you get into the MoMA of Troy Anderson, Quay Walker. Quay Walker's, if I'm going to make a sweeping declaration on linebacker, too. If you told me 2 linebackers go in the first round, it's Devin Lloyd and a linebacker from Georgia, but it ain't Nakobe Dean.
It's Quay Walker.
It's Quay Walker. And watch that happen at 32 to the Detroit Lions because they love him.
Quay before Channing.
Oh, God, yeah. That's not even close. Channing Tindall's raw. I mean, now the raw is intoxicating.
It is.
But he may not be able to do jack shit for a year.
Okay.
Tindall's more of a third-round guy to me. Height, weight, speed monster, but he may never develop into that guy.
Tyler Cunningham wants to know if, God forbid, so I guess this is gun to their head, the New Orleans Saints are taking a quarterback. You know this definitively. Who would you want them to take? I guess in the first round?
Who would I want them to take or who would they take? Because that's 2 completely different answers.
It says who would you want them to draft?
Sam Howell's my answer. I don't care who the team is.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Howell. On every team except the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because that's the only system that I believe can get the most out of Malik Willis. And they have the bridge. The thing about Malik Willis is you're going to have somebody that the noise is not going to get too loud over the next year. Because if you play him this year, you've done it wrong. So Sam Howell would be my answer. Now the question of gun to their head, they had to take a quarterback, be Kenny Pickett. They have him as the number 1 quarterback in this class.
He also asked about your wife's team, HWA, Hot Wife Amy. Who does she have a preference? Does she even care who the Pittsburgh Steelers draft if they draft a quarterback at 20?
I think she would like him to take Sam Howell, but that's because, you take how inundated you get with draft things and realize that she lives with me.
Okay. That's fair. She has heard it over and over.
She
just
was
wants you to
so
shut
over Ben by the end that I think so long as it's an improvement over Ben in time, that she'll be fine.
Okay. Alex wants to know, what would it take for you to grow a handlebar mustache?
I would have to get fired from this and start doing upscale hardcore pornography.
So never.
Yeah,
all right.
That's not going to happen.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't like the side of my nakedness, and I sure shit don't want it immortalized on film.
Apparently, Bengals Twitter has targeted Logan Hall and Kyler Gordon at 31 to their Bengals.
There's a lot of smoke that those 2 guys are going to go at the back end of the first round.
What are your
Logan Hall and Tyler Cunningham? I've seen him in the comments. I asked him this question, but I never saw his answer. He's got somebody in mind that's going to Tampa Bay. I'm curious if he's hearing the same thing I am. He's closer with the NFC South even than I am, with all of the teams. But I've heard Logan Hall to Tampa Bay so many times that I think Cincinnati's more likely to trade out because and look, that's what smart teams are going to do. I'm just going to level with you. If I had a pick in the bottom 10 of the first round, I would do everything in my power to get out of it because I want 2 or 3 picks on day 2. Day 2 is the honey hole of this draft. And with Cincinnati, I know they're really interested in Trey McBride. I know they're really interested in a few other guys that you can get in that range, and that's why I've had them as the target with Indy. Then you would have 3 picks in that range, and you would be able to get 3 premium assets. Yes, you lose the 5th-year option, but I don't. With a team like Cincinnati, I don't worry about that as much.
Do you like the fit for both of those guys in Cincinnati, though, Kyler Gordon and
Logan Hall? I like a lot. As the interior pass rushing force, and now what happens behind you is it's mitigated when I got 3 guys that can get after the quarterback. I have looked at edge rusher for them, not because I think it's necessarily a need. This is a down the line. I'm trying to play three-dimensional chess with Cincinnati because Cincinnati and the Chargers are going to be a case study here. But I mean, there's a possibility they're going to be paying $75 million a year to quarterbacks. That's how much bigger the money's going to get. So they're going to have to play three-dimensional chess of staying in front of things. Like, and I'll get just a little nugget on the Bengals. There's a kid named Samori Toure. He's a slot receiver from Nebraska. He started at Montana. He's got a lot of hype late in the process. Teams really like him in the 6th, 7th round. I can't get away from him ending up with Cincinnati to replace Tyler Boyd in a year because he's going to get too expensive. You've got to be able to neuter these things off your roster. And I look at probably Hubbard. Hubbard played better in the playoffs than he's played basically any other time. And I'm not trying to slight the kid. I'm just saying that contract looks like a value now. Wait till you're paying $60 million a year to a quarterback. And things like that just have to go. But I would like to fit with Logan Hall. Kyler Gordon less. I like Kyler Gordon with Tampa, the Jets, those real zone-heavy teams. There are corners I really like with Cincinnati. And I wouldn't hate him. He can do a lot of things. You're just going to really have to work with him because he's done so much. I think he plays better as an off-ball. He's kind of like Martin Emerson. I think what he does best is playing off and then breaking on the ball and using that the quick twitch. That's where I like him the best. I'm not saying I wouldn't like him with Cincinnati. I would just like Logan Hall better in that scenario.
John DeLon, I apologize for skipping your question. And if I do skip your question, just say, hey, you skipped my question. I'll go back and find it.
You fat motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a comma.
He
Insults.
We all know you're a wagering man, so he wants to know if you'd be willing to make a wager on your declaration that there will not be a quarterback inside the top 19.
Yes.
He wants you to shave your beard if you're wrong.
That's not going to happen.
Aw.
Because I look like a giant prepubescent toddler.
He does.
Yeah, it's awful. Now, I will totally make a wager. It just will not be the hair on my face. The hair on my head, that's more, that's more debatable. But yes, I've shaved my beard enough times, and I'll be honest with you, it's more that HWA just looks at me and goes, do you have that Benjamin Button thing where, like, you're regressing in age, and all of you gets bigger and older and shit, except, what I would want to? And I don't. That's one of those dead in the eyes looks that I just don't want to deal with for 3 weeks.
You said Nakobe Dean. Obviously, we all know if you've been paying attention to the cycles, he's been falling. But how far will he fall?
Who was the player?
Nakobe Dean. How far will
first 6 picks of the second round.
So not terribly far.
No, it's the height. The height's a big deal. Quay's kind of passed him to certain teams. Quay Walker's not getting past 33 to Jacksonville. So, I mean, I've had that since I had the Trayvon Walker thing. So that's just not going to happen.
Alexis Dubuque. I don't know if that's how you say that, but I apologize if I butchered it. What do you think of Jalen Petrie from Baylor?
Petrie's past Daxton Hill. I think his drop dead is Kansas City if they stay in place. They love him in that Tyrann Mathieu role. And that makes a lot of things make sense to me. If they don't trade out, that will be why. Because they become comfortable with one of these second-tier receivers, with Juju, with Mecole Hardman, with all of the pieces they have, and they just don't feel like giving up the draft capital.
Follow up.
Now, if that happens, I would say it's more likely that then they take their second-round capital and trade up to the beginning of the second round for Devontae Wyatt, who has fallen aggressively. And put a pin in that. I'll touch again on. It's become more public knowledge. I don't like outing people of things that I can't confirm. Now it's too easy to find on the internet, so I can disclose what the Devontae Wyatt thing is.
Follow up from Alexis Petrie with the Philadelphia Eagles.
I would love that. I just don't know how you would get him. I just don't think he's going to fall that far. To me, Philadelphia would have to take him with that pick I've had earmarked to Trent McDuffie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not averse to that. There are a lot of corners in this draft that I really like. And there's not a lot of Jalen Petries. There's not a lot of guys that can play that role. So,
I was going to say, would that be too high in the late teens?
Yeah, it'd be a little high, but I've said routinely about this draft, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Go get your guy. Yeah. Alex also wants to know, why doesn't Evan Neal make sense as a safe pick at number 1? Is it the weight thing?
It's the weight thing's a big deal. I mean, he was over 400 pounds more than once. And then it goes into all right, so this is a little bit of an elaborate answer, so bear with me. And I cannot see the questions. They're about this big on my screen, so I'm at the mercy of what's being said. I saw somebody said they got their question skipped. So
that was John.
Maybe repeat it. I can't personally see it because my eyes are fucking crossed from staring at this computer for the last 94 years. The thing with Evan Neal is, all right, so his floor is he gets overweight and has to play guard. Well, invariably, if you do that, then you would have been better off with Ike Ekwonu. If you wind up with a guard, Ike Ekwonu is a better guard than Evan Neal is. So that's almost like tandem drafting of you're looking at what can get you fired. And Evan Neal could get you fired if he just balloons out of the league and can't get his weight in check. And then there's going to be a slew of players that you go, oh, you've boo-boo kitted that real bad.
I guess this is wanting a window into your final 7-round mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
Who are the first 2 picks for the Buffalo Bills? Jason wants to know.
The first one is, and I know a lot of Bills fans won't love this, but it's Nick Petit-Frere. This is a guy that I've been on this the entire time. The industry has forsaken him, and they shouldn't. He is an immediate starting right tackle in this league, and there's just not a lot of those. The drop-off from Penning and Tyler Smith to the rest of the tackles, if you're looking for a left tackle, is drastic. Nick Petit-Frere, not drastic. If you're looking for a right tackle all the way in, I don't think he gets past Tennessee. I look at the Bills and Tennessee and go, one of the two of you is going to do this. And I think it will be Buffalo in front of Tennessee, and then Tennessee may very well go Desmond Ridder. The second pick, ask me another question, and I will tell. I know their third pick is James Cook.
Justin Parton wants to know, did Ty Snelson from Mars Hill make your draft profiles? Said he's heard he's gained some traction in the last a few months ago. He's from Hot Springs, and Justin has known him since elementary school.
He will be in the priority free agent talk. We will talk about him on day 3.
Okay, Ty Snelson.
He will end up on a roster, I can tell you that much. The other pick for Buffalo, it's Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen's a player that Buffalo just absolutely loves.
Nice.
They love him. That might be a little high because he's so raw. But they are enamored with Tariq Woolen. And then James Cook is their third pick.
Sloan Jordan wants to know the reason behind Darius Kendrick falling. Last month he had a 2nd-round grade, and it seems like now he'd be lucky to get drafted at all.
He will get drafted. It'll be more in the 5th-ish round. He's very scheme-specific, and he's just so damn raw. I mean, he played receiver up until, 2 years ago? And then there's some personality issues. He did not do himself any favors through this process. He's been one of the names that has really plummeted because of personality problems. I think a smart team is specifically a zone type of team. See, to me, he's a Tampa Bay Buck. You know, they take him late in the draft, and everybody else forsook him, and then 3 years from now we're talking about, hey, what a draft steal that was. And I see a smart team doing that.
Okay.
But there are huge personality red flags with him.
Let's see. Alex wants to know, what makes you look at a linebacker and make you think it's worth it? Why isn't the Luke Kuechly archetype a viable thing anymore?
Game's getting faster. The problem is that those down – I'll give you an example because there's a player in this draft that kind of reminds me of this. Jack Sanborn, all right? So he is more multiple than Leo Chenal. And they played together at Wisconsin, and they both project to play virtually the same position. The difference is Leo Chenal is going to be an A-plus blitzer in this league. He's one of the best pass rushers in this draft. You can mitigate him. Jack Sanborn can't do anything particularly well, and he's that Luke Kuechly type. And I shouldn't say he can't do anything well. He can do a lot of things well. He just doesn't have that A-plus. Linebacker is getting very specialized at this point. Do you blitz? Are you a coverage guy? That's the reason a guy like Brandon Smith, he's going to go higher than you think. He can't play early. He's going to be a sub linebacker. I'm well aware of that. And teams see a great value in that. Mm-hmm. Teams, right? A lot of the teams that I have talked to, they would rather have the guy that can play on 3rd down and mitigate what happened to Buffalo in the Kansas City game than have that 3-down linebacker. They would ideally love to have the 3-down linebacker. You just don't see them much anymore. There's just not a lot of those guys. Even Nakobe Dean. He's going to be the third linebacker taken in this class. I'm not 100% sure he's going to hold up against the run. He may be just a missile, hope to God you can hold up in coverage, and I'm going to blitz you a lot kind of linebacker.
Who was your biggest draft miss?
Jamar Chase. That one ain't hard because it was last year.
Yeah.
I got duped by players that took a year off and haven't played for 2 years. It's going to affect them more and look, I didn't slight Micah Parsons because I love the talent on him so much. I just thought he was going to be more of a specific role. I love the fit with the Cowboys. I missed on Jamar Chase because I thought the year off was going to hurt him. And now, biggest draft miss. Other than that, there are some doozies back when I first started doing this.
I mean, Justin Jefferson the year before.
Yeah, but you always throw Justin Jefferson out there. In terms of pecking order, he went where I said he should go. I was not dead set that he was going to be that player. I thought Joe Burrow made those receivers, and I kind of lumped those two together because the best tape I ever saw with him was with Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, come to find out that, no, they were just all really good.
Let's see here. What do you think of Chad Muma out of Wyoming
I love
at 18
Chad Muma.
for the Eagles?
That's too high. 18's too high. You can get him in the second round. And I think he ends up with an NFC East team. It'll either be the Washington Commanders or the Philadelphia Eagles. And, I mean, I love the kid. He's one of the most balanced linebackers in this draft and has a tremendous upside. If he played at Alabama, he would be a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm. During the ESPN Asheville show, Day, Jeremy said that or maybe it was earlier in this show, it's all running together for me today, that you didn't see a tight end going in a first round. But if you do,
Trey McBride.
It's Trey McBride.
Yeah,
okay.
It'd be Trey McBride either to the Titans or the Cincinnati Bengals.
Greg Dulcich, where do you have him going?
Third round.
Isaiah Likely?
Third round to the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
I remember that one off the top. Don't ask me why I remember that one. But
those were the three that he asked about. So
there are a few other. I mean, look, tight end's just stupidly deep in this draft. I mean, there are 10 that I really like. I mean, all the way down to like a James Mitchell out of Virginia Tech. If you can block, it's gonna help. Jeremy Ruckert will go higher than you think because he can block and play inline. Jelani Woods is going to go higher than you think. And there's just a lot of them, and then it becomes team specific. Certain teams want a guy to be able to block. Certain teams have a guy that can block, and they need the move piece, like Chiggy Conquo from Maryland. I am locked into him winding up with a team like Baltimore, but he can't block. No, he can't block currently. He's never been taught to block because he was never asked to. In terms of body build, he should be able to do all these things quite nicely. It's just you're going to have to develop it, and you're going to have to generate him touches early on.
Who's the best offensive tackle? Is it Trevor Penning?
Oh, you're going to have to elaborate on that.
That was the question.
Ike Mekwonu is my number 2 player in this draft, but that's because he's really safe at guard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're asking me I'll be honest with you. If you told me every player in this draft reached their potential as a tackle, it would be Ekwonu 1, Charles Cross 2, Trevor Penning 3, Evan Neal 4. Evan Neal has a safer floor, but Ekwonu is the most talented offensive lineman in this draft by quite some ways. Charles Cross is the best pass protector in this class. Trevor Penning is the most, good Lord, please keep him happy so he doesn't hurt me in this draft. He's just a mountain.
Codeman wants to know, can Pittsburgh win the division with Mitch Trubisky at quarterback? I'm going to be a no on that one.
Winning the division's probably a little daunting. Making the playoffs is not.
No. I mean, I could fully see them making the playoffs, but
Look,
you're not.
To me, you can never write that team off.
Right.
What I think is going to happen is they're going to use Mitch Trubisky as a 2-year bridge, and that's how they sold this to him. You're a 2-year bridge because they do intend on bringing in Malik Willis. You're going to be the tutor because Mitch Trubisky's sharp as shit. I mean, we're affiliates of Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that was around that program will tell you he is really bright, and he just got fucked by Matt Nagy. And that's what smart teams do. It's a low-risk signing of a guy that comes in. Worst-case scenario is a bridge. Best-case scenario, hey, he found a starter.
I cannot foresee you beating Baltimore, a healthy Baltimore, and
well, they got to be healthy. They've been dead 2 years in a row.
I know.
So, and the Cleveland thing, hell, something can happen with Deshaun Watson. And Cincinnati's where it gets – Cincinnati's set up quite nicely. That's the best division in football to me.
John DeLon says hit Control Plus and it'll zoom in your screen, as if you didn't know that.
I did, but the only problem is that it takes away the left side of the screen, which is what tells me it's still running.
Gotcha. Max Cole wants to know, when is Matt Ariza, the punt god, getting picked?
I would say the high side's 3-105 to the Rams. He won't last the fourth round. Philadelphia's interested. Cleveland Browns are interested. The Rams have been hot on him. There's another team on him, and I can't remember who it was.
I think I saw the Colts had put something out about him.
I don't remember. He had a private workout with somebody else. The three I hear the most, though, are the Browns, the Eagles, and the Rams. I won't be shocked if he's the first pick of the Rams.
Yeah. Codeman with another Steelers question says the Steelers always seem to draft wide receiver very well. Who's on their radar, and who do you think fits best?
Justin Ross. They love him. They love him, and he's falling, and they will be the team that scoops him up, and he will turn into a productive receiver because that is what the Pittsburgh Steelers do. There are just a handful of teams that they draft better than your team does. Now, in your case, you are a Steelers fan, so that is your team. I mean, I'm a Jets fan. The Pittsburgh Steelers just do this better than you do. If there are two guys and you both want them, invariably Pittsburgh is going to wind up with them. They'll make the move to get in front of you, but Justin Ross is the one that I've heard attached to Pittsburgh the most.
Paul Mancini says, hey, guys, great show. Thank you very much.
We appreciate you.
Who are the Panthers and the Eagles drafting in the first round with their picks? I sense a trade between them, he says.
Philadelphia could make a trade. It would be for Jordan Davis. I don't think you have to go that high. I have Carolina taking whatever lineman lands in their lap because I do think Charles Cross is going to be the pick to the Giants. I think Charles Cross is going to be their left tackle. Andrew Thomas is going to be the right, and they feel good about that. So what that means is either Aquanu or Evan Neal or Trevor Penning is going to be there. I'm not sure they don't have Trevor Penning ahead of Evan Neal. Some teams do. If they do that too, I think they're taking offensive linemen. The Kenny Pickett thing's been a smokescreen since day one. It's never made any sense to me. And now if they could trade back, that's one thing. But I said this on the ESPN show earlier. Why would I try to shoehorn a quarterback into a coach a year from now? Because there's almost no way Matt Rule's coming back. I mean, you ain't winning this division. You're not better than the Saints. Yeah, okay, so you beat the Falcons. You go, what, 7-10? That's LMNO fired.
Yeah, that's best
I mean, it's Matt Rule's being trotted out like sacrificial lamb. So why would you take a quarterback that you're tying to said sacrificial lamb? Doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Now, the Eagles, I would love for them to take Devin Lloyd. I can tell you definitively they were hot to trot on the two Georgia defensive tackles, Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt has had his misgivings, so he is now no longer a first-round pick. And so that tells me it's probably going to be Jordan Davis at 15, and I've had him taking Trent McDuffie at 18, which I'm a big fan of.
Majabi wants to know, is he crazy for wanting Nakobe Dean in Staley's defense?
No. You're not crazy. It's just that's not the pairing that I want. Because then I have two linebackers that do virtually the same thing, and they don't complement each other that well. If there was no Kenneth Murray, then I would say, no, you're not crazy at all. You'll have to use a pick in the fourth round of somebody to pair with them to make that work. The problem is that you're already beholden to Kenneth Murray. You still have to try to make that work, so I don't like the pairing of them together.
Are top 30 visits a big deal?
Yes.
And should we be putting stock onto who the team brings in?
Hell yes. Hell yes, they're a big deal. And I'll tell you something that I don't know that I've ever said this before on this show, but I said it on a hit I did over the weekend. One of the things that can really tell you is who do they have the most questions about. Where people get lost on 30 on the 30 visits is how many times teams take players that they didn't have in the room. Well, they didn't have any questions. They knew what they knew. They liked the kid. I don't have to waste it. All right, so I'll give you an example with me. If I was running an NFL franchise, I would not have to use a top 30 visit on Ike Mekwonu. I know exactly what he is. Now, if he was there for me at 5, all the way in. Don't care that he was in the building. Don't give a shit. I know what he is. I know enough about him from what I've been told that I don't have to have talked to him. Now, if you're deciding between players, look at who they brought in. Atlanta Falcons didn't bring in Drake London. That should tell you everything you need to know.
Paul Mancini says, I think Leo Chenal can be a poor man's TJ Watt type as an edge rusher.
I don't think he's an edge rusher, though.
More than a middle linebacker in 2 years' time as he gets bigger and stronger.
He can be very multiple because I think he can play on the inside and play on the outside, which is just it's really rare. There's not a lot of players that come into this league that are strong enough to play on the outside, but mobile enough to play on the inside, and I think he can. Leo Chenal's a guy that I absolutely love. It's just really hard to find a fit for him that's not in the AFC North.
Future Congressman Jonathan Welch wants to know, where does Ole Miss's Matt Corral fall?
There are a few teams that really like Matt Corral. I know Seattle is one of them. Atlanta has a fondness. I could see him falling like a rock. One of them's either is going to go the way I said, that teams trade up to get the fifth-year option, or one of them is going to fall like a rock. And if that happened, it would be Corral. I would say most likely you get Malik Willis at 20 to Pittsburgh, Desmond Ridder either to Seattle or Tennessee, Sam Howell to the Colts, and then Matt Corral to one of the others in the second round. I think a team's going to trade up and get that fifth-year option on him because he is very raw. If they don't, he'll fall middle of the second round, and it could very well be Atlanta.
All right, Jason N. wants to know, do you think that the rumors around the Tremaine Edmunds being traded, is there smoke or is there fire to that smoke, and will they be able to use him to move up in the draft?
Move up in the draft, no. Could they trade him? Yes. He's just not worth much. That's just been it didn't work. And it could be that it doesn't work in that system. There have been plenty of players that over the years have been drafted high, went into a different scenario, and it worked better.
Straight up, what do you get for him? Fifth round?
Sixth round pick.
Really? Yeah. Okay. How is Amy dealing with the insane mock drafting Jeremy?
She drinks a lot. She cries a lot. She watches a lot of movies. She's really looking forward to a week of me not talking about the draft.
I can imagine.
She loves me, and she's very supportive. I am very lucky in partner, and I made up that crying thing and the drinking thing. She doesn't have a drinking problem. I mean, one of us does, but it's me. Who's shocked? No, she's incredibly supportive. And I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. There are times that I'll go off on a tangent, and she gives me this very dead-in-the-eyes look, which is I'm assuming she is playing out her life with any other man she could have met. That's what I think's happening in her head. But she is the most supportive human on the planet. I am unbelievably lucky to have someone like her, and if it was not for her, I could not do this.
What's more likely, Brandon asks, the Seahawks trade down or trade up in the back of the first round for a quarterback? So either trade down from 9 or trade up.
I would say
in the
those
second
are
round.
equally likely. They're the most likely team in the top 10 to trade down. And I've been told that for weeks. Mm-hmm. I think it's most likely that they trade down with either Green Bay or Kansas City because they really want Linderbaum. They either want Linderbaum or they want to take Derek Stingley at 9. If they get stuck at 9, they want Derek Stingley to be there. Then take Ed Ingram later with the intention that they get a Desmond Ridder or Matt Corral. I think those are the two that are the highest on.
Majabi says that Evan Neal failed some tests or failed some
He's
physicals.
off the board to some teams.
What happened?
Medical. There's a lot of guys like that. Bernard Raymond's off the board for a lot of
teams. But we don't know what specific medical issue.
He failed the fucking physical. Yeah, he couldn't pass physical. There's no rhyme or reason to that. It's not, the knee.
Right.
No, they looked at something in his medical and went, out.
Okay.
And I can tell you that's happened with Evan Neal. It's happened with Bernard Raymond. And it's happened with a slew of other guys. Day 2 of the draft, we'll talk about a lot of those.
Okay. Who is a late quarterback that you think would make a nice backup? Anyone but Brandon Allen for the Bengals, please.
A.J. Perry. I love him. I love him. And I'm not the only one. He's going to go higher than people think. I don't think he'll go higher than Bailey Zapp, but he might go higher than Carson Strong. Carson Strong, put his dick on somebody's teddy bear or something. Everybody hates him. Everybody I talk to hates him.
I was going to say there was a time where he had first-round buzz.
Yeah, they lied. They
lied.
They was drunk. Only way he has first-round buzz is in the USFL. It ain't got shit to do with the NFL draft.
All right, Paul Mancini wants to know, what do you think of the Panthers trading back from 6 to the Eagles for 1851, 124, and Andre Dillard? The Panthers select Devin Lloyd or a defensive tackle at 18, then trade 51 and wide receiver Robbie Anderson for Baker Mayfield. Am I crazy?
That was super elaborate,
It
and
was.
I hated half of it. Anything that ends up with Baker Mayfield, Seacrest out. Anything that ends up with Andre Dillard. Oh, you want me to tell you what I would give you for Andre Dillard? You talk for a second.
I don't know that Baker Mayfield is I don't know that he's all that much better than Sam Darnold right now. I really don't.
I've long said he's not.
I mean, I think it might be a fraction, but I wouldn't do anything to have him on my team.
Here's what I'd give you for Andre Dillard. You can deposit this in a recycling bin for 10 cents.
For 10 cents.
And that's what I will give you for Andre Dillard.
Uh-huh.
I hope that was as funny to everyone else as it was to me, because I about choked and died trying to tell it.
I was going to say, that was the funny part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Occasionally, sometimes a joke works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Let's see here. Team most likely to trade up that no one is talking about.
Ooh, that's a good question.
He has to think about it.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers
talking about it.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers
To trade up
to get Zion Johnson.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's the team nobody's talking about.
Yeah.
Another one that would catch me. That's the one that screamed to me. Another team that would Indianapolis. I won't be shocked if Indianapolis is and it could be a receiver, it could be a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I know they really like Sam
Howell. Which quarterback in this draft do you see making a Pro Bowl in 3 years?
Quarterback?
Yeah.
Not applicable.
None of them.
If one of them, it'd be Sam Howell, but he'd have to be in the exact right situation. I mean, look, I love Sam Howell. He's my number one quarterback.
Sam Howell going to the Indianapolis Colts
and replacing Matt Ryan 2 years from now.
Yeah, with the
in that third year, his first year as a starter, he could be very, very good.
Yeah, with the Colts also adding some wide receivers.
Malik Willis 2 years from now in Pittsburgh, I could see the weapons and the situation just being so good. I mean, Pittsburgh's such a good franchise that it's hard to believe they would screw that up.
Could the Eagles trade up to 6 for Sauce Gardner?
No, Sauce won't be there at 6.
Or for Kayvon Thibodeau?
I'm going to say that's unlikely. The personality really rubbed people the wrong way with him. The Giants could sit there and take him at 7. That's their pick. Well, their extra pick from the Justin Fields deal. I don't think anybody's giving up extra draft capital to get him.
Mm-hmm. Do you think any of these rumors about the top wide receivers in the league, Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, these guys wanting new deals, is that going to scare anybody off of a rookie wide receiver in this draft?
No.
I guess for fear that later they'll want billions of dollars.
I mean, you know this is how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I've long said, I think the A.J. Brown deal gets done with Tennessee. I think Deebo does probably end up somewhere else. Terry McLaurin gets done with Washington. And who's the other? DK's the second most likely to get traded.
All right, David Evans Olson. What would you say would be an interesting move for the Steelers in the draft that could possibly happen that isn't a quarterback, like trading up or taking a position that nobody would expect?
Okay. This is a little off the wall, and it's just something that was relayed to me. So this may be nothing, but it was relayed to me last week, so it was outside of lie week. I wouldn't be stunned if Kyle Hamilton fell aggressively that they were the team that stopped the free fall.
At 20. Mm-hmm. It's hard for me to imagine Kyle Hamilton getting to 20, but
I don't think it's going to happen. I think he goes at 11.
That's what I think.
But if he fell past that, which is more possible than people think.
Really?
Oh yeah. Look, we've square pegged.
He wouldn't get past New Orleans.
Oh God, yeah, he would.
Really? Okay.
New Orleans traded it up to get a tackle and a receiver. No matter how this goes,
they're
going to get a tackle and a receiver.
Okay. Surprised that more people aren't in love with Troy Anderson. He's a football guy.
So raw. The problem with Troy Anderson now is he got so hyped that he would have to be able to come in and play right away. Look, I love him. I love him, and I've loved him for a long time, and I'll be honest with you, there are teams that think they can use him on offense too. I mean, you got to remember, this kid did run for 1,400 yards as a sophomore at Montana State and had a good arm. He's a badass, and I really like him, but he is really raw for how high he's going to go.
All right, last question in the chat here. Jeremy's got to run off to do a hit over with our sister station, News Radio 570 WWNC with the Sports Freaks.
And then I got to come back here to do 2 more. Woo!
Yeah, Max Cole wants to know what will happen to Baker Mayfield.
Most likely scenario, nothing happens this weekend. They keep him away from mini camps and shit like that, and then somebody gets hurt. They will have to pick up every red cent of that deal. They will get no relief from that. And you still won't get much of anything. It will not be to Carolina. To me, it's the most likely scenario. And see, here's the thing. They're in a catch-22. Because if they outright cut him, Pittsburgh would sign him. It's just insurance.
Yep.
Hey, we'll trot him and Trubisky against each other and, whatever happens.
Yep.
So you can't just completely tap out. But right now, there is literally no market. I have said this with Baker for as long as I can remember. There is no market for this kid. I would kill to buy him for what he's worth and sell him for what he thinks he's worth.
Okay, I lied. Last one. Mike Baker, you got it in under the wire. How far does Ajabo fall, and who's going to grab him?
Most likely, this is the one that I can't get away from. Atlanta trades down, and he's one of their 2 first-round picks. So he doesn't play this year. What the fuck? And I'm bad, and I know I'm bad. That's actually, to me, if I was Atlanta, that's exactly what I would do. I would trade back. I would tell Kansas City, Green Bay, you give me your 2 ones. I'm going to have a 5th-year option on 2 guys. David Ajabo is going to be one of them. And probably one of the receivers. And, okay, they're raw or things don't go the right way or whatever the case may be. Oh, cool. I wanted to suck. And next year I have Kyle Pitts and, Christian Watson or George Pickens or whatever the case may be to put around C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young or whoever I fall in love with.
All right, you are in the Sportsocracy here in the Ingalls studio. What?
Saquon Sutton. Anytime I see a new name, I always feel like a dick if we don't answer. I saw the name and I was
I see.
I don't see many S's.
Yeah.
There's little icons, and I know some people's icons, but I saw an S and went, I don't know an S.
All right, Saquon Sutton says, do you see anybody that Carolina can put across from Burns in the draft or free agency?
I think you got to give another shot to Yetur Gross-Matos. He was more raw coming in than people thought. I'm gonna say this name. It's a name that I know they like. It's a name that I really like. Dominic Robinson. Him and D'Angelo Malone are 2 of my favorite edge guys. And I know Carolina's hot on him, and he was my 4th-round pick for them in the 7-round mock draft that comes out later this week.
All right, hit that like button, guys. We appreciate all of the support, all the comments, everything. We will be back with another Mullets mailbag, draft mailbag coming up tomorrow, right? In the happy hour? Wasn't that the plan?
Yes.
I apologize. I thought that was the plan.
I'm gonna spend the next 3 hours like this. Hey, let me plug this into your hole.
Yes, we will be back with another Mullets mailbag tomorrow here in the happy hour. Of course, back in the Ingalls studio for the ESPN Asheville show at 3. You can hear us on 92.9 FM, 880 AM, and 1400 locally, everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And, of course, be sure to join us as we will cover each and every pick of the 2022 NFL Draft live here on YouTube.
Much love, everybody. Me and my plug have to go insert ourselves in things.
I'm Tank Spencer. He's at ESPN Draft Nerd Jeremy Greene, and we will see you next time.